Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Coach Sagasta, and this is Ignite Life. We're actually in the learning mobile. Me and my wife are discussing a major factor in today's life. We're discussing together as we're on a mission the way we speak, the way we talk to one another. And I had to open it up right now as we're in this moment because, again, it's a very busy day and don't have the luxury of being in the studio to do this. So what better way to go ahead and share a wonderful podcast with you and to bring my wife in on this, because she said something right now that was electrifying. She says it really is, and it was another individual that we know in our circle that expressed the way we speak on social media versus the way that we interact with other people. And what I'm about to share with you is the same thing I shared with my wife on the way home from Las Vegas last night. I went up there and spoke at a Rotary Club, and it was really nice to break bread and to enjoy some time of fellowship with other people that are like-minded, that are on this journey of life together. We share the same time and the same air and the same occupancy here on this earth. But it's also great to see that we have a passion to see development in our youth. And it was a great opportunity. One of the things that were asked to me is, how do you combat working with kids today? How do you combat the social interaction? Because today it's very obvious that more people, I'm not going to say demonize a certain generation, but people in all, that's why I said people, are so attracted, so glued to their device that there's no real genuine engagement, no authentic conversation with people. And Sarah, you said something that the perception of people are different. That's how we grow. Isn't that what you said?
Yes. People have different opinions, and that's okay. People have different point of views, different subjects.
People do have different subjects, and people do have different views. And that's not to take away that it's anything from anybody else. I mean, everybody will go through life. Everybody will have a different opinion. If you sat down just for a moment and you looked at, again, if you looked at businesses and if you looked at education, if you looked at government, every single government from the very beginning of time has changed over time. Everybody had their own, every single president has their own philosophy, their own leadership characteristics. Every piece of Congress and Senate, they all have their own unique abilities and talents and skills. Everybody's not going to see eye to eye with them. And that's okay. Exactly like my wife said. That's okay. But can you ultimately come to the point where you have full self-control and bite your tongue? Bite the bullet, they used to say. Bite the bullet. Bite your tongue. And go without criticism, go without cynicism, go without this slaying of the tongue. You know, I always revert back to life and death are in the tongue. And that's an old Bible scripture that is still used today, even in our home, where we really try hard to focus on that. I'm always expressing that with my kids. Be careful how you think, because ultimately, whatever you think is going to come across those lips and across that mouth and outside of that tongue. How we perceive things can ultimately be catastrophic and dangerous to someone else. So we have to be careful on how we say things. And as the person in our circle expressed, that people will get on social media and will say some things that are very derogative, very negative, easy. And I just was speaking to a friend of mine here locally, and I expressed, you have to be careful with it's amazing because this individual read the book The Secret, and I said Bob Proctor was real adamant when he said surround yourself around people that have a great vibration, that have a genuineness around them, that show charisma and enthusiasm and optimism in the echo of their voice or on the smile of their cheeks. You can see it in their eyes, that lustrous glare in their eyes, that there is something promising about being around this person. And that's what I ultimately that I was sharing with her out of that book, that's what I received. And my mentor, Dr. Edward Thomas, is the one that pointed me to that book. Again, it's called The Secret, because he gets to the point where you have to be careful with the people that you surround yourself around. And today, over 78 to 82% of people today are on social media, or always grabbing their phone and they're looking at their social media, and that's the only connection that they have. And so communication tends to fade away. Real genuine communication, kind of like what we're doing right now, is communicating with you, because again, it's an opportunity. Well, we're in the car together, Sarah and I, to share some tips and strategies on things that we've heard. Sarah, you were looking at something. You wanted to add something. I seen that. Oh, no? Okay. Sarah always says, when we go places, she always says, he's the talker, he's the speaker, he's the person who always talks. You always say that, huh?
Yes. I do, because you are the speaker.
She's my support. She's my best friend. And ultimately, the love of my life. 20 years we've spent growing together, and I look forward to the day that we do get the opportunity to grow old and to see our grandchildren and to teach them these same tips and strategies of how to professionally grow and how to personally grow and how to never stop growing. Because in the end, that's ultimately what it comes down to, is were you complacent? Were you satisfied with just being average? Or did you continue to grow and develop and learn and share? So it boils down for me, again, going back to what we were talking about in the beginning of this podcast, is your perception might be different. And that's okay. That's quite all right. What I have learned in these 5 years is continue to grow, continue to develop, continue to factor in as much information that you possibly can and utilize it as leverage. And then, of course, ultimately share with other people. If you can make some capital with it, if you can use it for an investment, great. But again, we've gotten to a point in our society today, in this new society, that it's okay to bash people on social media, or it's okay to downgrade or down talk people through social media, through posts, through memes. The list goes on. Videos, the GIFs, the list goes on. I watch kids today in technology, my technology class. They're very adamant. Kids are very, very tech savvy when it comes to memes, when it comes to videos, short videos, because the attention span today is no more than 10 minutes. After 15 minutes, forget it. They're on vacation mentally. The cognitive abilities are no longer there. So if you can knock out in any speech or any sermon or any teaching lesson or lecture, if you can knock out 20 minutes, you just hit a home run. And if you got a group of 20 and literally 2 of them have taken mental note as well as a physical note, you just hit a home run. This is a lesson, and this is the season where we start looking at these different things in a broader scope, in a much broader scope. I was again expressing with this friend this morning how we sometimes hold ourselves back from our full potential, and one of the things that I've learned from God is we all have the same capability of being great in life and sharing the greatness through our action as well as through our love to one another and kindness. But we sometimes allow the opinions of other people to hold us back from where we should be or where we ought to be. And all too common, they're very complacent. They're very satisfied with just not doing anything for any other person, and giving into the thought pattern that if I help this individual or anybody else, that there's a good possibility that somebody's going to think badly of me. Again, that bashing, that name calling, the naysayers, those critics that we see all the time. So I say, learn, listen, learn. Like my wife says, listen, learn, share. I hope that you guys gained just one thing from this podcast today. And I hope that you can use it and apply it and share it with somebody else. I'm Coach Sagasta.
Sarah Sagasta.
And we are out of here.